Hello and welcome to this edition of the program. I am Imonia Marire. For over a decade now, the Nigerian electoral environment has been undergoing changes, some of them fundamental and groundbreaking. The Electoral Management Body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has been at the center of the several innovations that have helped to transform for the better the country's electoral processes. The transformation of the institution has been made possible largely by the vision of individuals and the collective commitment of the persons appointed to various positions in the Commission. General elections and other off-season elections have been successfully organized and conducted by the electoral body on the back of the competence, capacity, the experience, and ingenuity of his appointees. Indeed, commissioners with civil society and activist backgrounds have played key roles in the changes that have boosted public confidence and perception of credibility in the Commission. As the 2023 polls draw nearer, the expectation is that the capacity of the Commission should be enhanced by putting square pegs in square holes. Now, only recently, President Muhammadu Buhari nominated 5 fresh appointees and 4 other returnees for confirmation as commissioners by the Senate, while signaling the removal or dropping of some of the existing commissioners. A number of other commissioners will be due for retirement in June or July this year, barely 6 months to the next general elections in 2023. Ironically, most, if not all, of those commissioners easing out are tested hands, persons with institutional memory and proven track records and integrity. National commissioners and almost 8% of the resident electoral commissioners will be on their way out this year. This scenario is raising concerns about the integrity of the 2023 elections. Now, with these tested officials gone and new ones appointed, this is the situation that we're going to be looking at on the program today. And I'm joined in the studio by Igo Akerega, is the president of the Civil Liberties Organization, CLO, a leading civil society body in Nigeria. He is also the Abuja Bureau Chief of this Nigeria newspaper. Thank you so much for joining us, Igo.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Nigerians.
Right. So let's go straight to the issues. I mean, the electoral body has, in the opinion of most Nigerians, very many Nigerians, done well, so well, at least in the last 2 general elections and the several off-season elections. And these are as a result of the innovations it has constantly introduced. And that has been brought about by what a lot of people say is the capacity and competence of the persons who have been elected into that commission over time. Now, the recent development, in December, for instance, 5 national commissioners left the commission. Either 1 or 2 resigned after the 2019 elections. 5 others in December 2021 left because they had, as it were, served their term in the place. Even though they were eligible for reappointment, they were not reappointed. Now, we are just in 2022, which is an electionary year, and a few months to the next general election. This is where the concern of most people has come in. How do you bring in fresh hands at this point in time to organize, prepare, and conduct the 2023 elections? And in fact, 2 off-season elections this year, Kitty and Oshun, when in fact there are persons in the commission who can still be reappointed.
Well, interesting. I must say that not just only me, but many Nigerians are confused, they are at a loss as to the reason behind Mr. President's decision to change the experienced hands, to remove the experienced hands that we have, that have institutional memory, as you rightly said, and then brought in new persons, you know, to oversee the electoral management body at the level of the resident electoral commissioners and all of that. Now, the concern for Nigerians at this point, as you also rightly mentioned, is that just barely a year to the elections, we are having these new faces. What is the interest of the president? There are two. I know that Mr. President, a lot of people have argued that President Buhari means well for Nigeria. He's a patriotic person, he's honest and all of that. But a lot of the decisions that Mr. President takes, it's either he does not understand the issues, or he's misled, or there are motives that Nigerians do not understand. Take for example, the Electoral Amendment Act bill, which the president was supposed to sign. Now, the president didn't sign. He gave reasons that direct primaries was not supposed to be imputed into it should be left open. People have also argued that he should have just signed. His party, the APC, controls the national, the House of Reps and the Senate, that he could just talk to the principal officers and then they could rework that aspect.
Just like he did when he signed the PIA.
The PIA and even the budget. Yes. Budget 2022. He said there were infractions, there were certitudes, and then he signed. And then they could look at the document later. So that on its own true controversy. And now this one is even very important to Nigerians. Individuals that have made their names, that Nigerians applaud, the whole world applaud. Why is Jonathan popular today? Jonathan said his ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian, and that he was going to conduct free and fair election. I introduced the card reader and all of that. We also saw that even in Bayelsa, the card reader did not capture Jonathan's fingerprints, and yet he didn't dispute the elections. While votes were still being counted in Kano, he congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari, and that is what brought us to where we are. He deepened the electoral process. Now, for President Buhari, what legacy does he intend to leave? Before I came to the studio, I was doing some basic research about some of these individuals that have been removed. You know, and you will just find that it is amazing, it is curious. Nobody can understand the reason why the president has removed them. Let me just quickly go through what I put down overnight, because I didn't sleep in the night. I was just looking at my records. I said, look, let's even look at but before I go there, why is Ghana better than Nigeria in terms of electoral management system today? There is a man in Ghana called Kwado Afari-Gyan. Kwado Afari-Gyan is a Ghanaian academic, a political scientist, and an election management administrator. He was appointed the chairman of the Ghana Electoral Commission in 1993, and was there up until 2015. 32 years. Yes. On that seat, and over the period, he was able to stabilize the Ghana electoral system, such that his integrity and his honesty attracted more credible people into the Ghana Electoral Commission. Today, nobody is talking about electoral front in Ghana and all of that, that there's stability in the Ghana Electoral Management Commission. And that has, on its own, also attracted foreign direct investment. You see that in Ghana today, it is almost a destination for foreign investors. And because they monitor your electoral system. In Nigeria, what do we have? Now, let us just quickly take a look at the men, the individuals, that is the REC that President Buhari removed. Now, he removed the Engineer Abubakar Nahuche. Engineer Abubakar Nahuche is said to, he was dissatisfied. Anyway, Nahuche, I think he was he was dissatisfied with what he experienced in the 2019 elections and resigned.
He left after the 2019 elections.
Yes, because he said he was dissatisfied with certain things. And then he resigned. But he's reputed for incorruptibility, a very honest man, a reliable hand in INEC. Now we'll go to the next person, Air Vice Marshal Ahmed Muazu. Air Vice Marshal Ahmed Muazu, if you ask anybody, I am from the civil society background. I do not think any CSO person is going to fault these individuals. He is an upright man of unequal integrity, all right? And of course, he is a man that supervised the Taraba and the Adamawa elections, where PDP won. So, he was not reappointed. We go to the next person, Professor Okechukwu Ibianu. You know, Professor Okechukwu, if I is an institution within INEC, Professor Okechukwu Ibianu is a national commissioner in charge of electoral operations. Now, this was a man who ensured that the Anambra elections was credible, because at the time that there was so much apprehension over the Anambra election, Professor Okechukwu ensured that that election was credible, and APGA won that election. He was also a technical advisor to the former INEC chairman, Professor Rejig. So such a man with a strong character was not reappointed by Mr. President. Somebody who ensured that there is a level playing field for a political party, a man of great credibility, was not reappointed. And of course, you also go to, I also have another name. I was just looking through my records in the night. One, the Reg Commissioner in Sokoto, Malam Sadiq Musa, who was also removed. Sadiq Musa was removed as the Reg Commissioner in Sokoto. Remember, or recall, Sokoto was also won by the PDP, where you now have a PDP governor in Sokoto State. If you look at some of these Reg Commissioners that have been removed from their positions, the opposition party defeated the APC in those parties. Could that be a reason? People are curious.
When you say removed, it will mean as if...
No, not reappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the right word.
They were not reappointed because they served their first tenure.
Yes, they were not reappointed.
They were eligible for reappointment, but were not reappointed by the president,
yes. So
who is the appointing authority.
Yes. He has all the powers under the Constitution to appoint and reappoint, you know. But what we are saying is, why is the president jettisoning credible people, honest men, people that have been applauded by all Nigerians? There's a fifth man. Let me know, because I have just mentioned 4 of them. The fifth man there, which is even of so much interest. Most Nigerians across, even in the north, the Arewa Youth Council have issued a statement. Arewa Consultative Forum have issued a statement about this same man, Barrister Mike Guinea. Everybody can attest to his you know, undiluted character. He's a man of impeccable records. He was a human rights activist before he was appointed into INEC. Now, let me just, because I was looking at his record overnight, and you can see, you know, this is a man, Guinea is a man of extreme credibility, impartiality, and he has the following record. 1, there's one Honorable Cletus Obum. You will know he comes to this studio sometimes, you know, from Akwa Ibom State, and it's an APC chieftain. After the 2011 elections, where Barrister Igini is the resident electoral commissioner in Akwa Ibom State, Cletus Obum is a known critic. You know, he does not, he's a known critic, just as we come here to also ventilate our views. But he gave kudos to Igini by saying that an area in Calabar, in Cross River called Bogbo, is it Bogbo Biri, that is in the south, in the southern area of, that the APC won in that area under Mike Guinea. At a time that, you know, he provided the level playing field for that. And also in 2011.
That was when he was commissioner rec in Cross River State. In
Cross River State, yes.
Before you moved to Akwa Ibom State.
Yes, you are right. Yeah, thank you for that observation. And then, of course, in 2011 in Imo State, when the gubernatorial election became inconclusive and there was crisis of confidence in Imo State, INEC deployed him to that state. And after the election, APGA won, all right, and defeated Governor Ohakim. PDP and other parties affirmed the integrity of the resident electoral commission in Imo State, which is Mike Guinea at the time. And of course, you also, similarly, the same vein, you know, in the Guba election that was declared inconclusive, he was deployed there, and then he concluded the election, and everybody was happy. In Osun State in 2014.
You made, before you continue, you made reference earlier on to the tenure of the former chairman of the Ghana Electoral Commission, Kwedo Afarijian, who served for 32 years as chairman of that commission. The laws in Nigeria are not exactly the same as they are in Ghana. I believe that the chairmanship of the Electoral Commission in Nigeria is the first 5-year term, and then if reappointed, another 5 years. So a maximum of 10 years. Yes. Is 10 years enough, for, in your estimation, for an individual to build a credible institution and a credible electoral system?
Well, in my view, I think that the electoral laws in Nigeria are modeled like laws specifying tenure limit for elective offices, president, governors, National Assembly. I mean, there's just no justification for pinning down, you know, the tenure of electoral management officers. These are individuals. If you find somebody who is credible, why do you need to stifle him by removing him because there are legal limits to when he can serve his country? We should be looking at patriotism, honesty, integrity, all the hallmarks that gives credibility to a system that can build an institution. We should be interested in building institutions. Yes, that legal hurdle is, and this is also an area that the National Assembly should be looking at. Why do we need to put legal limits 5 years, maximum 10 years? If somebody's called, look at the Afariguan in Ghana, for example, 32 years. And within this period, he was able to build the Ghana electoral system into a huge institution that is loved by the world. All right. So, and that is what is affecting some of these credible individuals that Mr. President has put out now.
Because national commissioners, just like the chairman, national commissioners also have a maximum of 2 terms, 10 years. Yes. But the difference is that
even the chairman of INEC,
the difference between the national commissioners and the chairman of INEC is that any one of these national commissioners can eventually be elevated to become the chairman.
Yes.
Resident electoral commissioners can also, after serving their 2 terms of 10 years, can also be elevated to become national commissioners, or even the chairmanship of the...
Absolutely.
Why is that not happening? Yeah.
No, so that is, now we have a crucial election in 2023. And I do not understand why Mr. President has not looked at the record. In the case of Mike Guinea, as I was talking about, at some point he was deployed to Edo State when there was threat that federal might, will be deployed to overturn the elections in that state. But that was the only state in the 11 states, that including the South, South, and Southeast, where Mr. President scored 46% of votes, well above the 25% legal requirement. In Edo State, under the watch of Mike Guinea. So, is it that the president is afraid of these individuals, that if they are appointed, is there something they want to do in 2023, that if they are appointed, that their integrity will not allow them, they will not compromise? But what the president must have in mind is the historical footprints he tends to leave behind. Nigerians are watching. He came on board on 3 clear objectives: that he wants to deal with security, he wants to tackle corruption, and of course the economy. But important, even in the eyes of the international community, is the electoral system. If he is unable to deepen the electoral system, now he has brought in these new men. We are not saying that they are not capable, they don't have the capacity, or they are not efficient, they can't do the job. They can, but elections are a different ball games. Because the intrigues within the electoral system, if you have to weigh that against the manipulative tendencies of politicians, you need experienced people to be able to read between the lines, to be able to cross the I's and to dot the I's and cross the T's, to know that this is how to deal with a particular situation. And that is why when you have inconclusive elections in some states, the chairman of INEC deploys his most tested, trusted, experienced men of integrity to those states to oversee the elections. And that's why people like Mikey Guinea, the AVM, Mwazo, and all of that, they've proven themselves. They've shown clearly before all Nigerians that they are above board. So, for us in the CLO, we are very concerned and worried, and we are just appealing to Mr. President that it is not too late. He has sent the names to the National Assembly to consider. We also know that the National Assembly, the leadership of the National Assembly, can go back to Mr. President and appeal to him. All right. As you also said in the course of your introducing the program, some other
commissioners are due for retirement again sometime in the middle of this year.
And that would be around June, July.
Yes, and that would be just about 6 months
to
the next election. So, and the concern that has been expressed by civil society and other people is that, look, will we be having new hands who will be learning on the job in the 2023 general elections? Will they be able to deliver credible, free and fair process in 2023 if they are learning on the job?
Now, how do you bring a man learning on the job to oversee an election that is so crucial, so important to, one, the stability of the country, to the global acceptability of the outcome of the election? You bring people. Don't forget, some of these individuals whose appointments were not renewed by Mr. President, they have been acclaimed by global institutions as some of the best hands Nigerians can put forward in managing our electoral process. So, well, it's up to the president. This is for, if you look at the trajectory and the history of the president since 2015, that he came on board, if we put pressure on him, he will not act. He swims against the tide. And that is why those of us in the civil society movement, we are a bit careful not to rev the campaign so strongly. It's an appeal to Mr. President that we are interested in credible elections, in himself delivering credible elections to Nigerians. Let him think of his own legacy, the legacy of his own children, people who bear his name after he has left office, the legacy of his party, the All Progressives Congress. When many members of the All Progressives Congress should appeal to Mr. President that elections are not a do or die. If there's no other motive, there's no other reason for not, reappointing these individuals, if it is just to bring in new hands, we can't have people learning on the job at this time. These individuals that he has declined to reappoint, we are appealing to him to please call them back. Those who resigned on their own, if we can appeal to them to please come back to serve this country, because they are serving this country creditably. All Nigerians applaud them. I did my research last night before I came to the studio. There is just no one petition against any of them for corruption or for compromising the electoral system or for even pandering to the whims and caprices of any political party or politician. Those are the kind of individuals that we want. So when they are not, when you remove them from the stage and you bring new actors, there's a lot of suspicion, I must say. There's a lot, and Nigerians are really, really worried. And the danger in this is that once there's disputation in 2023 about any aspect of the election, the blame will be put on these new appointees, and of course, ultimately, Mr. President will take the blame. And people will say, this can only be the motive for not reappointing the credible people that he has removed, and he has just brought in these individuals. So the war is high.
The Electoral Commission has, over these past few years, introduced some very good innovations that seem to have given credibility to the electoral system. For instance, in the Anambra elections, one of the big innovations was the introduction of the beavers in the accreditation and, of course, in the transmission of results from the polling units. And then, of course, what seemed to have been impossible to do in the last 25 years, INEC did it by creating more polling units across the country. About 56,872 new polling units, which brought the entire polling units in Nigeria to about 176,846 eventually. Now, to manage this process, where you now have more than half of the officials or of the appointed officials, commissioners, whether REC or national commissioners, more than half of them just coming in less than a year or just about a year to the next elections. Does that not pose a major challenge to the Electoral Commission in the management, in the proper management of the forthcoming elections?
That's a very good question, and that was why I said that Nigerians are extremely very worried at this point. Now, the INEC chairman, this is also a man that every Nigerian applauds as having deepened the electoral process, having stabilized also the independent national electoral system, and provided a level playing field for all. That is Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. He's a man of impeccable character. Nobody can question his incorruptibility since he was appointed. And of course, you remember that Mr. President also reappointed him towards the end of last year. You know. So, with new wards created, with expansion and deepening of the electoral space, you definitely need experience to drive this process to a positive conclusion. Because as it is, except 5 persons who are new, completely, not 1 or 2, 5, more than half, and then by June, more are going. Nobody knows the mind of the president at this point, whether he's going to bring in new persons. If the president, for example, is also calculating that by June, those that are going, he might recall some of these persons that he has removed. Now he might recall them, make them national commission. Maybe that would be good. But again, it's an appeal to Mr. President. It's not too late. We must inject experience into the system at this point. We must retain experience. That is the global standard of electoral practices everywhere in the world. When people are experienced and they are delivering, there is no petition against anybody, any of them, then why do you remove them? It is when your records are bad, when there's controversy around any of them that nobody will come and say Mr. President should reappoint them. But how do you take the best hands? Because these 5 people that Mr. President has not reappointed now, of course, they are the best hands, and it makes the job of the INEC chairman even very difficult. He's trying to reschool and retool the new persons to get them to understand the institutional workings of INEC, and then you deploy them to the field. How are they going to cope under 1 year to the election? I mean, it's really worrisome, and I think all Nigerians should join in appealing to Mr. President that this is just one decision that he needs to rethink. He needs to revisit. If he can revisit it, I'm sure that he will be a hero in the minds and eyes of many Nigerians. Many Nigerians will also agree that he is indeed interested in delivering a credible electoral process come 2023. But if he declines, if he refuses to recall or to reappoint these individuals, well, we'll try our hands. He has all the powers to hire and fire, but we'll wait for 2023 to see how it plays out.
Now, one last question. Supposing this appeal does not fall in the ears of the president and more commissioners exit sometime along the road this year, and we have 2023 just around the corner, what do you think the Electoral Commission should be thinking of doing in order to salvage the situation?
Well, I do not know what options would be available for the INEC chairman. He's in the saddle, but if you're asking me, it will be a difficult call for him. Let me also say, for those who, because I'm sure the president is listening to advice, for those that suggested these names to the president, they are also going to shoot themselves in the foot, ultimately. Because if you look at the Congress of the APC, people have brought in these individuals also to ensure that whatever they have in mind to do, whether in the Congress to manipulate the system within their political party or the general elections, because there are individuals, I'm not sure that President Buhari knows all of these 5 persons that he has brought in now. They were suggested to him, by individuals. What is the intention of these individuals that suggested these names? And if you look at what is happening in the APC and all of that, or they are a pointer to the larger picture of what Nigerians should be expecting. But ultimately, as I said, the appeal is for Mr. President. It's not too late. He can record the list and, of course, reappoint these individuals. He should just please do that for Nigerians, and we applaud him.
All right, thank you so much, Igo Akerega. He is the President of Civil Liberties Organization, CLO, a leading civil society organization in Nigeria. And he is also the Abuja Bureau Chief of This Nigeria newspaper here in the nation's capital, joining us on this edition of People, Politics, and Power. Please reach out to us on our Twitter handle at PPP_on_AIT. And of course, we can further the discussion on that platform and all other of our social media platforms. Igor, thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure to be here. It's a very rich program, you know. Nigerians are always happy watching us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. All right, so join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of the program. I am Imoni Amare.